Yeah, so in today's class, I will explain the state in the React. What is the state in the React components? What is the state in the React components? Stating nothing but a it's an object. It's a data object. It's a plain JavaScript object in our component. In our component. For example, here we have the two components. We have two components: header component, footer component. I write the header component in the functional way, footer component in the class way. If you write the component in the functional way or class way, anyway, a component have a local state object. That means the data object only applicable into that component. Only we will use the JavaScript object, the state object. We can use only in our component. We cannot use the outside the component. The first thing. So what is the state in the React component? The state in the React component is a JavaScript object. Okay, a JavaScript object which is represent the information about the components content. So we have the component. So only in the component only we can maintain some data, local data. This is called the local state. The local data. Now only the component only we can use that data. That is called state in the React. Okay. For example, take this class component. So this class, I want to some data only particular to this component, not outside the component. I want to use only but some data object only in this component. Okay, let's take this footer component. Okay, I have the footer. I will here in the constructor. Okay, this is a class. In the class I have the method constructor. For every class there is a method constructor default class. A constructor. What is the constructor method? Is when the class loading. When the class loading, the first method call is constructor. Method means function. When if you load this class, the construction method will call the first in any class, in any JavaScript class, in any Java class, if there's a programming language. If you have a class, in the class, the first method when the class is loaded, the first method called the constructor. Okay, now coming to the state. So your state is a JavaScript plain object. That means, for example, this component has its own data. This component has own data. This data only available in this component only. We cannot use the outside the component. So how can we write this dot? Otherwise, yeah. Let's take this the state. Okay. Let's take this the state. Okay, so this is the state. So here we have the object. So state is the object. So now we have the object that is available in the state, this state variable. So let's take I have a object and data like title. I have title. Okay, this is the I have a title. This is the footer title. Okay, and the other value also like count. And I want to count is the 1 2 3. Okay, now I have an object, state object. This state object we can use in this state object we can use in the component only. We cannot use the outside the component. We can use this component only. So this is local data. State is nothing but the local data of the component. So I have an object, I have the data. So this data contains title and the count. Okay. I want to use that value, this data in the component view. The component view. So for example, I want to use the title. So then I will write like this. I will write the parentheses. So if you write like this, that means you are writing some dynamic data, not the manual data. This is, for example, this is the footer. This is the static data. So we don't need the curly brackets. If you want any dynamic data and if you want to use any variables, then we use the curly brackets. Now I have the state object. Okay, now I have the state object. I want to use the object title. So how can we like this? This is state the title. Okay. Okay, for example, I'm creating a view. Okay, the view I'm writing like this. This is the title. Okay, and this is the count. Count is also taken from the state of state means my local data. Okay, this the state the count. Okay, so if I use this component, I get the view. Title is the title from the state variable. This is the title. Count from the state variable count. So here this is the or here it is the dynamic data. That's why I put in the curly brackets. Nothing but the variables in the JavaScript. So nothing but the variables in the JavaScript. If any variables or any functions, I put only curly brackets. So if in React in the return function along the HTML, if you see the curly brackets, that means that is dynamic data. So if in the React, along with HTML, if you see the curly brackets, that is the dynamic data. Here I have the local data, local state object. It has the values type. I have the local state object. It has the values title. It has a value title and count. State object has a two values title and count. So I use those variables. So I have the local data. Local data I use. So we cannot use the this footer component I already loaded the app component. So they already loaded the app component. So the app component I already loaded the sorry. Okay, now in the app component, let me load the footer component. Okay, let me load the footer component. Okay, in the footer component, I create the one state object, one state data object. Okay, so state data object means this is the local data to our component. So I create one single JavaScript object. So I can use this object data in my view. This is the view, this is the data. This is the data, this is the view. So in my view, I'm using the dynamic data. I mean the data from the state object. State means the local data in the component. So in my footer component, I have this object data. I use the data in my view. Okay, now let me run. So if we run I will get the view like title is this is footer title, count is 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I have the JavaScript plain object which is available with the only my local which is available only in my local component. So state is nothing but a JavaScript object which is available in our local component. Okay. The local state, local data, the component's local data is the nothing but a state. Okay. So I have the state object. I directly using the view. Okay. Now when I run, nothing will happen, right? Let run. So maybe there is some errors are there. What is the error? So actually in the app component, so this here, this see. Here it asks what is this here? What is this here? Okay. So this is not allowed because so if you want to use the soap, this variable, this is you need to call the soper. You need to call the soper. So if you want to use this, you need to call the soper. Soper is a method which is taken from this parent component. So all the parent, so here footer component, we are extend the core component class. From the class, we are footer is the child class. So if you use the soper, all data of the component is available for the footer component. That is soper. When only you use the soper method, that only you can call this state. Okay, this state. Now I have my local data. I have my local data. I have an object. I'm using that object into my view. So let's see view. Let's see the output. See, I got the title. This is the footer title. Column 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So I have the data. I use in the view. Okay. Now I based on some actions. I want to change that local data. I want to change that local data. For example, I have a button. Okay. I have a button. Okay. For on click, I am writing a function. So actually in the JavaScript I use the double quotes, but in the React we cannot use the double quotes. We directly use the any function, any variable, we use the call basis. Okay, this is called JSS syntax. Normally in the JavaScript we will write HTML on click equal to double quotes. We will do the function name, but here we will use the on click equal to curly brackets. In the curly brackets we will use the function handler or function name. So let's create a function here. For example, I want to change title. Okay, so I write this function here. Okay, so if I click this one, if I do the on click, this change title function will call. That's fine. Okay, so now after clicking the button, I want to change this title value. So generally how we will take, so the title value is this one. So do you think, so we will write like this dot state dot title. So this is the variable, so we can change like this. You are thinking like this, right? I change the title. So what you think actually the JavaScript will, what will happen? This is the variable. So if they assign a value to that variable automatically changes. So automatically here change. That is the actual thing. That is the actual thing, right? So for what you think, so when I click the button, I want to change this value. So what you think? So we can directly set a value to that variable, right? So but let's see what happens. See, some error will happen because we need to use the constant here. We need to use the arrow functions here. We need to use the arrow function, right? So we write the arrow function, like people know arrow function. This is the arrow function. So here we use the class, right? So we need to use this that function. If you use this that function. So this that function. So in this class, when I click the on click, I call it this change function, right? So what you think, when I pick this function, automatically this way I'm changing this value, so automatically it will change. So let's see what happens. So actually I get the method change. So I have the button. So what you think, if you click this button, I set the view value, it will change. But what happens? Let's see. See, the value is not changed. You are thinking why? Actually, JavaScript, if you click the button, if you change the value, if you set the value to that variable, automatically that value will change. But for the state object, we cannot change directly. The important question. The state data, the local state data, we cannot change directly. We cannot change directly this local data because this local data is freeze. You cannot change directly. This is the private object, private component. So we cannot change our local data state data correctly. So somebody asked the question, shall we change the state data directly? No, we cannot change the state data directly. Okay, the class component, if we want to change the state values, we have a function set state. Okay, we have a function set state. Okay, so we will call this the set state. Okay, now if you want to change the title, then again you get the title, and here you give the value. This is butyl. So we cannot change the state data directly in the class component or in the functional component. We cannot change the state data directly in the components. The class components, if we want to change the state, we use the state to state. Okay. So if people think now what do people think? Now you people think, so I have the state object, okay. I have the title value, I have title, I have the count, right? So now when I click the button, I again I use the set data, I create the method. So you people think, so instead of the all data only you have the only title key only. So now the count value will got. If people think like that, right? But what happened? What happened, right? Using the set state function, if you want to change the only particular key, you can give the value for only particular key. So here I have the title value, I have the count value. Now you want to change the only. Now you want to check title value, right? Yes. So here you are changing the only title value. You are not willing to change the count. So that's why I'm changing the only title. So what happened is it takes into this whole data, it stays the only the title value. Now what is my name? New state value, the title with the new value, count is the previous value. It does not skip the count value. So whatever particular data you want to change the data only. Let's see. Now let's see. So if I click, so summary complete. So what I have to say here something is somewhere. So I want to change title value. So that's why I copy it. So what happened? So something error is copied by. So here what happened? I call the state of the what the error. What is the error I'm getting? So this state in this session cannot update during the exist state. The method should be pure function of the full state. So this state. So so instead of the right function, let's state here the entry here. No. So here you need to give the function handler, not the function. You need to give the function handler. Okay, on click, you need to give the function handler, not the total function. You not call directly function here. Just give the function handler. So when you click the button, then only this function will call. So when you click the function, only the title value change, but the count value remains same. Let's see. If I click this one, see, only the title value change, but not change the count value. So here you observe two things. You cannot change the local state value directly. If you want to change the local state object, you use the set state function. You cannot change the local state object directly. If you want to change the local state object, you need to use the set state function. That is the first point. Second point, if you want to use the only particular data, you can change the only that particular data. Here I have the title value, count value. I want to change the only title value. That's why I am mentioning here only title value. But the count value not changed. That the count value will there. If you want to change count value also, here you can give count value, count also. You can give the count and you can give new value also. Okay. You can give the new value also. So if you click this one, so now I give the, if I click this button, these two data I'm changing. Let's see. See. So both state data is changing. So local, what is the state? State is the local Java local data, which is only JavaScript object. This state object only available only in the components only. The state object you can change directly. You can change only using the set state function. Okay, that is the thing. Now, if I want to add the view data, I have title value, I have the count value. I want to view data. Okay, for example, see, I'm thinking like, for example, I take the time. Okay, category. So that's category. So actually, the state object there is no category of value, right? The state object. The state object we have only title and count. We don't have the category. Let's see what happens. We don't have the category initial. That's why empty. Now, if I want to click, I want to add the category value also. New value. I want to add a new value. Just right here. Okay, just when you set state and split up just category. Category. I give the new value. Like tools. Okay. Let's see. See, right? So using the state to state function, you can update the existing state data. Also, you can add the new data also. You can understand? You can change the existing state data. Also, you can change the, you can add the new data, new values also to the new state. So initially I don't have the category update, but when I click use the set state function, I add the new data also. So right. So you set state function. You can change the local data, or you can add the new data also. Okay. This is the how we can create the states and we can change the state objects in the class components. Now, how we use the state how we create the state component in the function component. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I have the functional component. Now, in the functional component, if we want to use the state, what you do is, for example, I want to create a variable like constant. You can write like this: title, set title, and you have a function use state. This is called hook. You have the existing function use state. You need to import that one. You need to import. So we can do the default title. So I create this. I created the title here. I created the title state. I create the state value. This is state. Now using the use state hook, we create the state object in the functional component. The functional component. Okay. So let's see. Here I use the title. So this is the state data. State data. So you use state data. I can create the state object in the functional component. Okay. So use data. This is the value. I said the default value. Okay. Let's in the header I write the app component. I think the header component also. Header component also. Okay. So the header component is the functional component. To create the state in the functional component, we use the use state function. Use state hook. Use state hook. We need to import the use state hook. Okay. So here something I'm missing. the header. Okay, let's see. See, I got the first state. So let's write a colon here. Very important. So the functional component also I create the state using the use state. Right? So let's create a button in the same way in the functional footer component. Let's see this is the functional component. Let's see. Hooks are converted means let's see. I will explain how channel looks data. So I have state data in my function component using the use state hook. I give a using use state hook. I create a state variable in my function component. Now I want to change this state data in function component. How? Same as in the class component, in the function component also we cannot directly change the state data. Let's see. For example, I have the button. Let's change the title. Okay. Here on click. On click. I'm writing a function. Change at the name. Okay. So I'm creating the function here. So when I click for this value, I want to call this function. In this function, I'm changing this value. So let's see. So you can directly change the title value directly. Let's see. Let's for example, I use title equal to this is new value. So same as in JavaScript thing, we can change the title value directly. You are thinking like we can change the title value directly. Let's see. It's changing or not. Okay. I click. But the title value is not changed, right? The title value is not changed. So same as the class component, the functional component also, we cannot change the local state value. Okay. So in the class component and the functional component, in any React component, we cannot change the state to object directly. Okay, in class component, if you want to change the state object, use the set to set function. Here, if you want to change the state object, for example, he created the title. Here, in the second argument, you can create a new function like set title, anything as you wish, but like you can, as for name thing, like you can write a set title. Okay, like set title. Okay, otherwise, just set the title. This is the function. If you give any value to this function, automatically this value will change. So whatever in the second argument, that function to the function, we need to give the value. Right? You understand, right? So if you want to change the state value, directly change it. You can create the second function, second argument. You can create a mode function. To that function, you give the value. Then only this title value change automatically. Let's see. You change it, not change, right? So let's see. This is the only class component. Let's see like this. What is that?